This week on Not Another Movie Podcast, Dolph Lundgren steps out of his B-grade hell, finally into the DCU.
Thor comes back to the internet and basically shatters it.
And Deadpool 2 has finally found its cable. Alright, welcome back to episode 11 of Not Another Movie Podcast. I am Shaun Pierce.
And I am Sean Kelly.
And how has your last week of school holidays been? I'm guessing you've been catching up on all these movies. Doing great research for the show.
Oh, tons of research. You can't stop me. I've got to say, I expected to have 2 weeks to, chill out. Like, everyone thinks that teachers just relax. I've been marking non-stop. And I've had my mother move in, which is fantastic. She's going to be living with us for a little while. I've built a chicken coop. I've done everything that, on Monday was my first day where I could actually chill out and relax.
Oh, good. So I'm guessing you watched this nice, edgy European movie or something with a bit of spice. Something you want to take back to your class and present them. Like, I've watched this foreign film. It's been spectacular. What have you watched?
We watched Trolls, which I hadn't seen, and I had no intention of seeing. And now that I have seen, I pat myself on the back for having good judgment initially.
Yeah.
Did you see this with your boys at all?
Yeah, I did see this one.
Yeah. Look, I mean, it was fine for what it is. I've got a young daughter, as you know, and my mum, when she came down, she has a drive full of films, and this is one of the ones on it. And, Mika was into it, which is fine, but yeah, it just didn't grab me. And I'm not one to poo-poo a child's film just for it to be a child's film. I found it a really ugly movie. It was, and really dark to begin with.
Trolls.
Yeah, I mean, the trolls weren't ugly, but what were the things called? The eat them? What's that about? Eating the trolls? I thought it was a bit dark and a little bit messed up. I'm glad that my little one's a bit too young to really understand what it all means. Like, I understand that the ultimate message is a nice one and that kind of thing. And I just couldn't help but see, the marketing pitches throughout all these different characters. Like, Minions has just changed the game with animated films where every character now has to be a marketable character. So I was a little bit jaded by the end of it, I have to say. But Mika liked it, and I'm not going to bring it back to my students at school. I don't think that they would appreciate it. But I've got a couple of days left, so I might try and fit in something a little bit more, artistic and sophisticated, just like I am.
All right, well, stay tuned to the end of the show, because I personally am about to shit on a kid's movie that I just watched today. So there's something to keep you hooked to the end of the show.
I can't wait.
All right, well, let's get into the movie news, shall we?
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
All right, well, this week, I personally think we might have got the best Marvel trailer we've ever had. And we've had a lot of fucking really, really good Marvel trailers. And that was the Thor Ragnarok trailer.
We say this all the time, but Marvel just cannot let DC have a few days to itself. They released their Justice League trailer, which we talked about last week. A couple of days after that, they released Spiderman, and that was huge. But just to nail it home, they released this motherfucking trailer, which changed the game.
What would be perfect if they released this trailer with the Wonder Woman film, so they waited till Wonder Woman was released and showed this trailer at the front of it?
Oh, that would be messed up. But you know what? That would probably do what the Batman film we talked about last week as well was doing, where drive people to the cinema to see Wonder Woman so they could see this trailer.
Yeah,
that's how good it was. So I don't think they want to do that.
Now, I've spoken about my man crush on this director, Taika Waititi, and I was sitting there watching the trailer, and it's quite serious. It looks like a Marvel film, and I'm like, oh, this isn't really what I was expecting. And then once Thor sees Hulk, and he says, yes, we know each other. He's a friend from work. I'm like, bang, there's fucking Taika Waititi's touch. And the trailer itself, especially with the legendary Led Zeppelin song, the immigrant song at the background. Good. Oh, it was, as I said, I personally think it might have been their best trailer.
I think so. It looks like
the first Guardians trailer was pretty damn awesome.
Yes, that's something I did show that trailer to pretty much all of my classes when they came out. I remember that. because it was nonsensely good. But yeah, this was just amazing, and that music was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Not since School of Rock has Immigrant Song worked so well in a film.
Well, it's the second time I've seen it in a trailer. David Fincher used it in the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo remake trailer, and it was put to good use there. So I think it's just a song. It's just a great song. It's
just an epic
lends
song,
itself to so much.
So do you want to talk about the trailer a little bit?
Yeah,
break it down?
There's a few things that I noticed. Like we're going to see the destruction of Asgard.
Yeah.
We're finally going to get to see that city basically looks like burnt to a crisp.
Yeah, wiped off the map. Now they could be playing a joke on it. That could be a vision, or it could be something going on. Not necessarily, but it looks very much like it's going to be destroyed.
Well, Kate Blanchett, who I have to say, she looks incredible with this.
Amazing.
With this, not only does her character look awesome, but she actually looks really good as this goth type, black hair, dark makeup. Yeah. I reckon she looked very sexy, in my opinion.
She would look good as anything. She's just amazing in every respect.
Yeah, well, she plays a character called, I think, Hela. And we see a scene where Thor throws his hammer and she just catches it and destroys it.
Yes.
So I'll be like, I've read certain things after the trailer's been released that this happens quite a lot in the comics, and the hammer does put itself back together at some stage. Whether this happens in the movie, I'm not sure. I'm calling it his hammer because I cannot pronounce this thing for the life of me.
Mjolnir.
Yeah. I cannot pronounce it for the life of me. Kind of like what Ragnarok at the start was. I think I called it 3 different things before I got it right.
That's all right. But you're right. It does happen periodically in the comics, but it's something that's never happened in the MCU, which makes it pretty. And it just happens so casually as well.
Yeah, well, especially when no one's been able to handle it ever in the MCU. Now we get her catching it mid-flight and basically destroying it to shreds.
Yes, which was bloody amazing. And one thing I was speaking about Hela, I'm really excited because I assume she's going to make a comeback in Infinity War, because as we know, Thanos in the comics is in love with the character of Death as the entity. Now, that Death as the entity isn't in the MCU, but Hela is the god of death, and it looks like she will take that role. So she'll play both of those roles. So it would be awesome if Kate Blanchett as Hela teams up with Thanos in Infinity War.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That would be amazing.
Another part that I loved, and there's this theory going around, and it makes total sense now, is that is it Heimdall? Is that Heimdall? That he actually will be the last Infinity Stone, the Soul Gem. Because the last Infinity Stone is yellow, and he's been known to say that he can see the souls of everyone in the universe. And
I like that.
His eyes glow yellow. So they're possibly saying, because we haven't seen it yet, and we don't know where it's going to be introduced, and it's got to be introduced soon between, say, either this film or the next Guardians film before we get to the Infinity Wars. So there's a little conspiracy theory for you.
And he's on the run, isn't he?
Correct.
Yeah, so I like that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And there was that shot of him in the trailer in battle.
Yes.
When I saw that, I thought, oh, that's really interesting. I wonder why they've shown that. Maybe that's why, to get our minds working.
Yeah. So I did like that theory. And, of course, the last epic scene of that trailer. You see this huge arena, and it looks like that, in my opinion, that I think Hulk's been there quite a long time.
It looks like it. All the green smoke.
Yeah, he seems that he has the crowd on his side. And as you said, they're letting off all this green smoke that I'm thinking has something to do with, obviously, the color of Hulk. And how awesome did he look?
Oh, he looks friggin' amazing. That armor. It's perfect.
I'm thinking you especially would have pitched a tent, because you've said many times how much you love the Planet Hulk storyline, and to actually see it on screen,
it looks amazing.
Yeah, but it also talks that he might actually take the form of the Hulk a lot more than what we think, because apparently, the name escapes me. Who's playing him?
Oh my gosh, now you've got me doing it. I really like him too. Yeah, the Ruffer. Yep.
Mark Ruffalo was only on set for, say, 2 or 3 weeks compared to, a couple months that Chris Hemsworth was there. My
assumption is that he'll be Hulk for a majority, if not all of not all of it, because obviously Mark Ruffalo was there for a bit, for a vast majority of the film. Yeah. I mean, in the Planet Hulk storyline, he's the Hulk for the whole time.
Oh, okay.
And look, pretty much the whole time, like he dips back to Bruce short periods, but it's really the Hulk's story. And the last time we saw Hulk in the Avengers, he was sad, he was cut up. So, I assume he's going to hold on to the Hulk to, keep those feelings down. So that's my theory. I'm a little bit. It's bittersweet seeing the Hulk look so amazing because it means that we'll never get a Battle World story.
Yeah. Well, we know already that Hulk's never going to have his own solo film.
Yeah, I guess, and it's probably a good reason, but it's a little bit bittersweet there. But so much other cool stuff in this trailer as well. So one thing I didn't pick up at first myself was the character the girl who finds Thor on the planet on Sakaar. That's Valkyrie.
Yeah,
which I didn't realize.
Yeah.
And in the trailer, you can see the Valkyries fighting Hela, I assume in the past, and being wiped out, basically. So I assume this Valkyrie, it'll be her story as well. Her army was destroyed in the past by Hela. She's found herself on Sakaar as Jeff Goldblum's sidekick, basically, and it's going to be about her coming back to Asgard. That's my theory, anyway.
And another good question mark is what Loki is doing, because we see him. Basically, it looks like he's either leading a battle or he's walking through a battle that's taking place behind him. And I love that shot because he's dead center. He's looking straight into the camera and he flicks these knives up in the air. So we don't know what exactly his role is and what battle he's in. And then, of course, we get to see him sitting on the couch with Jeff Goldblum.
So bizarre.
Watching the battle between Thor and Hulk.
Two theories. Number one, he's leading the... because he's running Asgard at the moment. So I think his negligence might be the key to releasing Hela. So he stands with the other Asgardians to fight against her, realizes he can't defeat her, and then goes to reclaim his brother.
Yeah.
That's my theory. And he's there because I can imagine it'll be some kind of, look, if Thor wins this fight, we can take him.
Well, that was going to be my next statement, because if you look at the body language when he's sitting on the couch, they're sitting on opposite ends.
Yeah.
And he looks quite nervous. So, yeah, my suggestion was that it looks like there might be a bet, and whoever wins, Jeff Goldblum might get to keep Thor. But if Thor wins, then obviously he gets released.
Yeah, or maybe Loki puts himself up to barter as well.
Yeah, you never know.
I think this might be Loki's turning point. Interesting as well in the comics.
He might redeem himself in this film.
Well, I don't think he'll ever be fully redeemed, but I think he's going to be fighting the good fight for the good guys this time.
Yeah, you never know.
1 second, mate. Sorry about that. Cut that out.
Well, last week we spoke about how big the It trailer was. This trailer, Thor Ragnarok, was actually the biggest downloaded trailer so far for Disney. It didn't reach the heights that it did, but it did capture 136 million views over Beauty and the Beast, 107 million views.
This one I can really believe because a lot of people were talking about this. There was a lot of buzz. People were sharing it. People who don't normally share comic book stuff online, I saw sharing it. So it really it got around.
Yeah. And even James Gunn tweeted 2 weeks ago that he just saw the trailer and he said it was the best Marvel one yet. So I just thought, he's just flying the Marvel flag. But, I think he's right.
Yeah, definitely. What a gun.
Yeah. Oh, no. Put in some booze post.
Okay, I'll edit that out.
Yeah.
You know what?
No, just put booze behind it.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, cool. James Gunn, my only issue with James Gunn is he gives his brother roles in his films. I don't think he's very good.
Yeah, but
Shaun Gunn?
You wouldn't give your brother some love if you were a director?
Well, that's a weird way to put it, but well, it depends on the film, I guess, but I don't know.
Probably not.
I didn't think he was that great in Guardians, but that's just me. Anyway, James Gunn is a legend.
Yeah.
Moving on.
All right, well, the next trailer that dropped this week was the next Transformers The Last Night trailer. And it had some very nice visuals.
Yep.
But it just looks more of the same of everything else.
I agree. It's I'm not particularly excited. It's funny because, as we'll talk about later on, some very strange people are singing Bay's praises at the moment. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not keen at the moment.
Yeah. As I said when I saw the first one, the reviews would have to be good for me to go and see this at the movies. Otherwise, it would just be a Netflix type scenario.
Special,
yeah. But as I said, the special effects looks like they've gone, to a new level compared to what the first ones were.
Yeah.
And but whether there's a story there or if it's just all flashbang, pretty lights on the screen, who knows?
Yeah. I'm really curious to know if the Transformers during medieval times, did they transform into like wagons and horses?
Don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm curious as to how they played it out, because it seems very coincidental that they land on Earth just when, trucks and cars are about, if they've been here since the Middle Ages as well. Anyway.
Well, it's funny because I actually saw the yellow Camaro today, which is Bumblebee. And,
nice.
It's a beautiful car to look at, but it's not actually quite long. So I was looking at it, I'm like, if that thing had to transform, Bumblebee would be pretty fucking small, to be honest.
Well,
I actually couldn't see how... I know it's stupid, but I couldn't see how he would all fit into that car.
Dimensional pockets, they can make it work.
Yeah, that's true. All right, and there was a really cool trailer that dropped this week, and if you haven't had a chance to watch it, I will put up on our Facebook page before we post this episode, and that's called The Hitman's Bodyguard, and it's basically Ryan Reynolds has to protect the world's best hitman in Samuel Jackson. Now, I don't think I've ever heard so many F-bombs in my life in a trailer.
In a single trailer.
I know you're going to get it with Samuel Jackson, but geez, he is playing Samuel Jackson to a T in this trailer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's basically like, who can we want a Samuel L. Jackson type for this role. Who should we get? Let's just get Samuel L. Jackson. There's no better Samuel L. Jackson than Samuel L. Jackson.
I agree. The movie itself, it might be okay. It kind of has the same vibe of what possibly The Nice Guys was last year. I'm kind of getting that vibe from it.
Not as much style, I think, as The Nice Guys, but that kind of enemies become buddies kind of shtick.
Yeah. Look, as I said, the pairing of Ryan Reynolds and Samuel Jackson could work really well.
Oh yeah.
You got Deadpool and Nick Fury, or Green Lantern and Nick Fury, however you want to look at it.
No one wants to look at it that way.
But yeah,
just go Green Lantern and Mace Windu.
Yeah, that's possible.
I'll watch that movie.
Yeah, that's possible too. But to have a hitman have his own bodyguard, that's quite funny. So the premise is good. Fun. The trailer looks good. Whether the film is any good, who knows? But that might be one of the summer sleepers this year. It
could be. Hopefully, yeah, but I could see it being all the good parts were in the trailer. That part where Ryan Reynolds is spilling his heart out to the this vendor while things are exploding around him.
Yeah,
quite funny.
Yeah,
but is there going to be anything left for the film? I don't know.
That's the problem that The Nice Guys had, in my opinion.
Yeah,
they just put everything out there and left nothing for the film.
Yeah, well.
All right. Well, there's some big casting news this week, and as we said in the intro, Deadpool 2 has finally cast Cable. And this one came as quite a surprise because he's already part of the Marvel Universe, and that's Josh Brolin. Yeah,
but I guess it's not technically the MCU.
It isn't.
Even though we kind of wish it was.
It isn't, I agree. But, and Thanos is going to be pretty much all digital anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, Josh Brolin, interesting choice. I thought he would have gone for someone a bit older, to be honest.
I mean, I can see it. He's got the jaw. They just need to, whiten up his hair, beef him up a little bit, and give him a metal arm, and I'd buy it.
Yeah, probably they can age him a little bit too, I think.
Yeah,
yeah, I think Ryan Reynolds and Josh Brolin, look of similar age, where Cable always looked a bit older than everyone else.
Yeah.
But Josh Brolin's fantastic in everything that I've seen him in. I've never had a bad thing to say about him, to be honest.
Yeah, no, not at all. I think he's great. He's a very charismatic watch, and I'm keen to see him. I'm pretty excited about this.
It's good because he does play his roles pretty straight. So, to have the wisecracking Ryan Reynolds,
yes, that's exactly right.
Playing up against Josh Brolin could work really well.
Yeah, and yeah, Cable is. I'm really keen to see where they're going to go with the character because he's such a sort of bizarrely complicated character in the comics. they're going to have a field day with the fourth wall breaking with Deadpool.
Yeah.
I'm sure that Deadpool will be calling him Thanos at least once in the film. I guarantee.
I hope so.
And not to mention all the references they'll have to the many bizarre things that he's done in the comics as well. I'm really keen. I'm really glad they've gone for this kind of buddy cop pairing.
Well, I actually heard a rumor that even though Hugh Jackman won't be appearing as Wolverine, he might appear as Hugh Jackman in the film.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, so there's completely smashed the fourth wall again. So
yeah.
Whether they can pull that off, that would be awesome. Because considering how many times he hinted at it during the first movie, it would be fantastic if he did make a cameo as Hugh Jackman.
It would be so good. There was like this mini plot where Hugh Jackman was filming the Wolverine movie.
Yes.
And was like, there was some danger and Deadpool had to save him, but Deadpool ends up killing him or something. That would be freaking hilarious.
That would be good because then at least now they can put all the stories to bed with Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine. What better way to do it than to kill Hugh Jackman in the Deadpool film? That would be fantastic.
Love it.
All right, well, there was a big announcement and quite a surprise announcement over in the DCEU this week, and that's Dolph Lundgren has joined the Aquaman film.
I don't know what to say about this. I mean, it's not a headline I ever thought I would see.
No, as I said, I thought he was going to be stuck in B-grade hell for the rest of his life. And realistically, apart from films that he did in the 80s and early 90s, he's done jack shit since, apart from the Expendables.
I don't mind Dolph Lundgren, and from what I've seen of him, he seems like an alright dude, but really, like, what should be an A-grade film?
Yeah.
Casting Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah, he's going to be playing King Nerusus of the aquatic kingdom of Zeeble.
Yeah, so Aquaman, another of Aquaman. Aquaman's bad guys. Yes. I don't think he's going to have too much of a role. I think it'll be...
well, you'd hope he doesn't have too much dialogue.
No, exactly right.
It's more of a physical presence.
I'm really keen to see him on the screen with Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
That'd be cool, like the two of them standing against each other. Dolph Lundgren could have played Cable just quietly.
Well, funny enough, I actually met both of them within the same week, Dolph Lundgren and Jason Momoa.
Really?
Yeah. I was able to go to, it was a private screening of Rocky IV. It was, I think, the 30th anniversary. And while Dolph Lundgren was here for Comic-Con, I think it was, or Supernova, he actually attended the screening. And he sat through the whole screening. You did a Q&A with him at the end. And then obviously you had a meet and greet as well. And then I met Jason Momoa at, I'm pretty sure it was Comic-Con. So I took my son Ryder and I said, this is the man who's going to be playing Aquaman. And, he didn't think much of it at the time. But now that he's actually
where's his yellow pants?
Yeah, now that he's actually seeing the trailers and posters and everything else, he's like, Dad, we met him. So,
that's cool.
It's quite funny that they're both in the same film now.
So what did Dolph seem like?
He seemed like a very nice guy. I thought he'd just be the type to, he'd come in, he would introduce the movie, do his Q&A, then piss off. But no, he sat through the whole film. You could speak to him afterwards, get your stuff signed. He was really nice. He
does seem like a solid guy from the bits and pieces that I've seen. Well, there you go.
So
you did this.
Yeah, so as I said, I just realised now that, I've met them both. But, pretty cool.
Yeah, nice work. Yeah, well, look, I hope it goes very well for him. I don't think it's going to be a big role. But I kind of wish he wasn't so recognisable because it kind of draws you out of the film when you see recognisable actors in bit parts. But look, I hope he's awesome.
Yeah, but he might be recognisable to us.
Yeah,
it might not be recognisable to kids in your class or the new generation.
Yeah, that's true. I'll have to educate them before the film comes out. All right, kids. Today we're going to watch another Dolph Lundgren film. Oh, man. Universal Soldier is awesome.
I'm actually a little concerned about this next actor that we're going to be talking about. He's getting on in age, and I'm starting to think that maybe he might be starting to get a bit senile because Anthony Hopkins has come out and said that he has compared Michael Bay's filmmaking to Oliver Stone, Steven Spielberg, and Martin Scorsese's.
All right, I'm going to defend Hopkins here because he says that he's the same ilk as those guys. Not that his films are the same quality, but Bay does explosions well.
He does action fantastic.
Yeah.
He has made a lot of good films, but he has made a lot of shit ones in the meantime.
Yes.
Where Oliver Stone, Scorsese, Spielberg, they're pretty, 90%.
Spielberg has some bad films.
But to compare him to Michael Bay, put him in the same category as Michael Bay, I don't think so.
Yeah, look, Hopkins, from all reports, is just a really lovely guy, and he's enthusiastic about the work, and I think he just recognizes that Bay has a particular talent. He's like Wolverine. What he does isn't pretty. He's good at what he does, but what he does isn't pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, I would still get him checked out if I was his family. It's actually a weird choice, weird seeing him in, like, this is Sir Anthony Hopkins. This is Hannibal Lecter, Academy Award winner, and he's in a Transformers film.
It makes me like him a little bit more, though, because he's not one who's hard up for money. He's not one who's hard up for roles. He can play anything he wants. But it makes me realize, you know what, he likes to have fun as well.
Yeah, I suppose.
I always remember I saw him interviewed about Silence of the Lambs, and they were like, what did you do to get into character? It was such an intense thing. And he was basically like, somebody told me once that if you don't blink, you're scary, so I just didn't blink for any of the film. I'm like, it's that easy. Well done.
Yeah, I might do that for the show.
I think everyone in the world takes Anthony Hopkins more seriously than he takes himself. Did you just say you're not going to blink in the show to make yourself more scary? Because it doesn't work over a podcast.
But if it was a visual podcast, it would.
Yeah, a VOD perhaps.
Yeah.
And also, here's a quick take. I can just see like your eyes watering and red by the end of the piece. Please let it be over.
Go for about 40 minutes, so my eyes will be hanging out of my head by the time I've finished.
You just got the eye drops next to you, and you're just dropping yourself periodically.
Well, I don't know if you actually got caught up with Westworld. Did you try that show, Westworld, the Western?
Westworld loved it, man. It was awesome.
Anthony Hopkins was brilliant in that. So, the guy is still bringing his A-game to everything that he's doing. So maybe, he might turn this around. All right, now I'm guessing this next movie you were a massive fan on when you were younger, and that was Labyrinth.
Yes, this film was pretty huge for me growing up. It was basically my coming-of-age film. I love it.
Well, yeah, I kind of see you as Labyrinth, Princess Bride type child growing up.
I feel like I'm in some kind of box here, some kind of category. Just because I love Labyrinth, just because I love Princess Bride, Dark Crystal. What are you saying?
I'm not saying anything. I just see you as a kid that liked those films.
Well, you're absolutely right. I think that the fact that my current big screen crush is Jennifer Connelly didn't originate from nowhere.
Yeah, well, this is true. Well, I don't know if you'd be happy to hear this next story, but they're going ahead with Labyrinth Part 2.
Yeah.
This isn't a reboot. It's not a remake. It's actually a sequel.
As someone who wrote a lot of Labyrinth fan fiction when I was younger, I'm not completely against this.
Again, you just put yourself in the box now.
There were a lot of internet communities, can I just say? Anyway, I'm not completely against this because I think the world could use, there's some fleshing out to be had there. As long as they don't, if Sarah is in it, they get Jennifer Connelly back to play the same character, even if it's only a cameo. I don't mind a film set in the same universe, but with a different story. It could be cool, could be terrible, but I'm not going to write it off on the outset.
Well, they've just signed a director, and he made a film last year called Don't Breathe, which was pretty good, and that was Fede Alvarez, and he's going to direct. So if he can bring the tension and the drama that he brought in that film into this Labyrinth film, it might work.
It'll come back to the writing more than the directing. I mean, if you look at the directing of the original, it's not spectacular. There's nothing groundbreaking in the directing of it. There's, the cinematography and the puppetry and things like that is awesome. But he just has to, be able to show us a good story, which he's been shown to do. It'll come back to the writing. So this Jay Basu, is that how you?
Yeah, I'm guessing.
I don't really know his work, to be honest. Jay Basu will be writing. Have you seen this film?
No, I haven't seen that one, no.
Monsters Dark Continent, apparently he wrote. Now, yeah, I have also not seen it. It doesn't look particularly interesting as a film. But, yeah, I don't know. It wasn't a huge release or anything like that. So, look, if the writing will be what sells this film.
Yes.
Oh, gosh, I just got 1 star and it's got 18% on Rotten Tomatoes. I changed my opinion. This film is going to be trash. Oh, my God, I can't believe they're doing this. Look, I've got all of my Labyrinth fan fiction. It's saved. If they want it to make a film out of it, they can take it.
Probably not, but it was nice to get offer.
Okay. Well, you'd need David Bowie to make it work, and that's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's true.
Poor DB.
All right. Well, we started this new podcast with a new segment called "How to Fix It," and we've got a new stinger. Have a listen to this.
Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology.
Oh, that was smooth. I like it. All right. Well, the first time we did this segment, we suggested how to fix Star Wars Episode 1. Well, we thought we did. Then we went back and listened to it, and we more just canned it rather than put out any ideas of actually how to fix the film. We only said what was wrong with it. So we've put our thinking caps on this time, and this time we're going to fix Spider-Man 3.
Yes.
Now, last week I spoke about with the War of the Planet of the Apes trailer that, that could have been the complete trilogy, the perfect 3. Well, it looks like it might be. This could have been the perfect trilogy also, but they really, really dropped the ball on part 3 of Spider-Man, in my opinion.
And I would absolutely agree. There were some shining moments in this film. The Sandman storyline, I really, really enjoyed. But beyond that, there wasn't a lot to like. And in fact, there were quite a few elements that were laughably bad.
Yeah. All right, well, I'll give my rundown of how I would have fixed this film, and then you can give us your rundown on how you would have fixed it.
Sounds good.
All right. For me, the first 2 films have set up the Green Goblin, Hobgoblin storyline perfectly. And then in the third film, they just tried to do too much without really cashing in on what they've built up for the last 2 films.
Yep.
So the third film for me should have been the conclusion of the Goblin story. So basically, I would have Harry Osborn as the main man. All right, he's the main villain. He is the puppet master of the film. But they overstuffed it with 3 villains when they really didn't have to. You could still have the subplot with Sandman, and he would be able to keep Peter Parker distracted while Harry plays puppet master, turning MJ against Peter. And controversially, I would even have him killing Aunt May as revenge for killing his dad. Yeah, I know that's a shit thing to do to Peter Parker, considering he's already lost his uncle. But I would take out someone who is close
Rosemary
to
Harris.
Peter. Yeah. And then, obviously, he would reveal himself to be the Goblin at the end.
Yeah, okay.
And then they would go toe-to-toe.
All right, so there'd be a final battle between the 2 of them.
Yes. And, then he can mourn the death of his auntie after that.
Oh, man. And then, I guess that's kind of nice, because then he finishes the trilogy, and he's on his own then. He lost his uncle, he lost his parents, now he's lost his aunt as well. So he's the man of the house. He's finally growing up. Yeah, I can see that.
But wait, there's more.
Oh, okay.
Not only was it overstuffed with villains, it was also overstuffed with love interests as well.
You want to kill MJ?
No, I would completely remove Gwen Stacy from the film. I would just let Harry build that tension between Pete and MJ and kind of work on that love triangle rather than a love triangle between Gwen, MJ, and Pete. I'd still try and continue and build tension and kind of separate MJ and Pete with Harry in the middle rather than having another female in the mix. But
I do agree.
But then, in the third act, I don't know how I would do it, but then in the third act, I would introduce Eddie Brock, and then the last 30 seconds of the film is that somehow he would get the, what would you call it?
The symbiote?
Yeah, the symbiote onto Brock. He falls to the ground. He rises up as Venom. Yep. And then with that big teeth, he launches at the camera. Fade to black, set up episode 4. Done.
That's cool, yeah.
Done.
It would get people excited.
All right, well, that wraps up episode 11 of the... another movie. Huh?
There was some good stuff in there.
Oh, I reckon I nailed it. Done.
Yeah?
Show's over.
A podcast over, I think. Can't get better than that.
All right, hit us with yours.
All right. First of all, I'm a huge Sam Raimi fan. He was really hands tied with this film. The studio wanted Venom. They forced him to put in there. Sam Raimi didn't really know Venom that well. He didn't like Venom. He was reading Spider-Man comics before Venom came along. So that's why I think it was sort of poorly. That story was poorly handled, but Sandman was really well handled because that's what Sam Raimi knew. It would have been very easy if I just said, I'll get rid of Venom because that was the worst part. I don't. But given the pressure that Raimi was, I feeling, I felt that would have been cheating. So I did what I wouldn't want to do in my version. I got rid of the Sandman story. Even though I love the Sandman story, I think it was the only thing worthwhile in that film. I think you could take it out and put other elements in the film. So this is what I've gone with. John Jameson was introduced in Spider-Man 2 as Mary Jane's love interest. She was his fiancée, but she ended up leaving him at the altar, leaving him sad. So I would carry his character over into this one, and controversially. So this film, and Harry will come back, because I completely agree with you that this needs to be the culmination of the Goblin story. John Jameson is saved. A film opens with John Jameson, crashing back to Earth after being in space because he was an astronaut, and being saved by Spider-Man. So once again, he was supposed to have his big day, but it was ruined by somebody else. First of all, Mary Jane with Peter Parker ruined it, and his wedding, and now this, and he is just somebody who just can't, deal with that at the moment. He had such big expectations. And now it's all falling apart. So, but when Spider-Man saves him, he battles the symbiote who has become attached to the spaceship while he was in space. That makes complete sense. Mm-hmm. And may even be the reason why it was crashing in the first place. So Spider-Man battles this random symbiote that pops up. I don't think it should necessarily bond with Spider-Man the same way it did in the film and it does in the comics, where he has it for an extended period. I think that's too much setup. I think just have him battle with it. Maybe it tries to take over his body, and it gets onto enough to read his memories and such, which the symbiote does, and copy his powers. But he manages to get rid of it then and there, and that's when it joins with John Jameson. So there's no Eddie Brock, which is controversial because I love Eddie Brock as a character. But again, in Spider-Man 3, the one that we got, there was basically no Eddie Brock either. Topher Grace is not Eddie Brock. So in this case, there's no Eddie Brock at all. John Jameson is the man who will become Venom. So when John gets the symbiote onto him, he realizes that Spider-Man and Peter Parker are one and the same, and he decides, I'm going to be better than Spider-Man and Peter Parker at everything. So as John Jameson, he's trying to woo back Mary Jane, and as Venom, he's trying to be the better Spider-Man. So he's going around and catching criminals, but instead of turning them over to authorities, he's killing them, because that's what really sets him apart. And Venom did a lot of that kind of vigilantism in the film as well. In fact, he eats brains. It's something that sustains him. So that's the Venom storyline. Meanwhile, as you pointed out, at the end of Spider-Man 2, Harry finds his father's weapon stash, the Green Goblin weapon stash. And in this one, Green Goblin's Harry's journey is he's sort of unsure. He doesn't know what he wants to be. None of that amnesia bollocks that they went with. He knows who Spider-Man is. He knows who Peter Parker is, and he's just deciding, I can't pass that at the moment. I just want to make my Oscorp proud and make my father's legacy, make my father proud. So he's trying to make the best Oscorp he can. Venom tries to kill him, so they have a battle because the Venom thinks that if he can kill Green Goblin, he'll show that he's a better Spider-Man than Spider-Man, because he doesn't know that. He thinks that this is the same Green Goblin as the first film, so Spider-Man didn't actually get rid of him as everyone assumed. So there's a battle between the two of them. The Green Goblin decides, you know what, this city, I want to really come through for this city, but again, he's going to do it in his own way by becoming an authoritarian dictator. So you've got these three people vying. You've got Spider-Man just doing his normal thing. You've got Harry trying to kill Spider-Man, kill Venom, because he just wants to have complete control of the city, and Venom trying to prove he's a better Spider-Man, all fighting over. MJ's caught in the middle, and of course they have a big three-way battle at the end. That was one of the cool things I liked about Spider-Man 3 as well, the four-way battle between the villains, but anyway. The three-way battle. So this one ends with a three-way battle as well. Harry ends up giving his life for Spider-Man, completing the Goblin Circle, which is kind of what happened in the original third one anyway. But Venom isn't killed; he's just defeated for that particular battle and slinks off into the sewers. So the overarching plot, like Spider-Man 2 and like Spider-Man 1, is what makes a hero. Because on the one hand, you've got Harry thinking he can be the hero by controlling everything. And you've got Venom thinking he can be the hero, John Jameson thinking he can be the hero by proving he's the best at everything. And then you'll have Spider-Man. He's the one who has to, maybe his story is he has to, finally let go or something like that. So I'm not sure what his story is, but for the villains, that's their story.
Okay, cool.
It could be all right.
Interesting. Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
As I said, I don't want Harry to redeem himself. I want him to go out swinging.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. I respect that.
Yeah.
And look, that could be the case in this one as well. But I just think getting rid of the Eddie Brock and having John Jameson as Venom, it just makes the most sense. It's got the space connection. It's got being because nothing ever came of the fact that John Jameson's son was stood up at the altar by Mary Jane. I thought it would be a good continuation for that story.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I like that one.
Mm.
All right. Well, what did you think of our remakes? Let us know in the comments of the podcast.
And what would you do to fix it?
Yeah, even better. If yours are better than ours, we'll just redo this podcast and use yours and claim it as our own.
Exactly right.
All right, well, I watched... I'll quickly do some quick thoughts on some movies. I watched 3 films this week. I took the boys to see the Lego Batman movie, and that was worth the wait. Even though I was still pissed off that I had to wait so long to watch it, the movie is fantastic. It has got so many Easter eggs for Batman fans. It links it all the way back from... I think there was a Batman TV shows in the early 50s, back to the 60s one, through to my 89 one, all the way up to the 90s, the Nolan trilogies. There is so many bits and pieces in this film that if you blink, you miss them. But if you do see them, you get lots of... it warms the heart to know that they are actually being reminiscent to all the ones that have come before it.
It goes to show you that the people who are making these films are real fans of the character.
Yeah, absolutely. It just had an abundance of all the Batman characters. Hands down, Batman has got the greatest villains of any comic book character, and all of them are here. But the problem is that none of them get their own individual time except for the Joker. So that would probably be my only knocking point on the film itself, is that you've got all these villains that you don't necessarily get to see a lot of. Not only do they waste those, but then they go into they bring in villains from all different movies, like King Kong, the Swamp Thing, the Wicked Witch of the West, Voldemort. All these characters come into the Lego Batman film, and this is what's so great about this Lego universe that they're building, that they can just draw from so many different movies. Spike from the Gremlins was in it as well. They can just draw from anything, and everything works because it's just this incredible universe that they're building now. The Will Arnett as Batman, if he isn't almost the Batman now, the voice of Batman, I don't know who is. It's absolutely perfect. He's just so arrogant, and he's just so stupid at the same time that it's absolutely brilliant. I cannot rave about this movie enough. I adored it, and if the DCU didn't take itself so seriously, it should have a really good look at what they've done in this one. And I know it wouldn't work in that, but this was an awesome Batman film, not just an awesome film itself. So, to put that next to, the Tim Burton films and everything else, I definitely think it could stand side by side next to those.
Yeah, and the original Tim Burton Batman is an example of one which, again, didn't take itself too seriously. The character was quite serious, but the film didn't take itself too seriously. Yeah. So maybe the new films could go halfway towards Lego Batman in that regard.
Yeah, and just had an awesome cast. You've got Rosario Dawson as Batgirl. You've got Zach Galifianakis as the Joker. You've got Michael Cena as Robin. And all of those voices add so much to the film itself that it just makes it so more enjoyable, and you're so more invested in that film. So that was an awesome kids film. On the other scale of that... Oh, sorry.
Before we move on to your next one, I just want to say, now, Lego Batman, how long did it take to come out here after they got it overseas? Do you remember?
7 weeks.
Well, we're getting made up for that a little bit, because apparently Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is coming out in Australia 2 weeks before.
Oh, wow.
Overseas.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it's a small thing to make up for it.
Yeah. All right, well, that was one great kids film that I saw this week on school holidays. I literally just got back from watching The Smurfs, The Lost Village, and my God, this film was a stinker. Absolute stinker. I've never had any dramas watching kids films with my kids. I love taking them because, if I can get them involved in what I love doing the most is watching movies. If I got to sit through kids' movies, no dramas. And honestly, I haven't sat through a bad one yet. But The Smurfs was fucking horrendous.
I was kind of interested in this one because I like the idea of finding the female village. Didn't work?
No, look, they tried something different, but the strength of Lego Batman, what I spoke about, was story and the cast. Was the complete opposite with this. The casts were just so lackluster and boring. They just brought nothing at all to this film. As much as you hated Trolls, Justin Timberlake and Anna Kendricks were brilliant as the two leads in the
Yeah,
Trolls
yeah,
film.
yeah.
Where this film, nothing. Was just so boring. And I was sitting next to my youngest Ace, and I thought, oh, might as well. I might have a snooze. Every time I closed my eyes, Dad, wake up, wake up. So I couldn't even have a snooze through it. I actually had to sit there and watch it.
He's, you know what though? He didn't like the film either, but he's like, if I have to sit through this, old man, you have to sit through
Well,
this.
funny enough, this is the first film that I actually sat down the whole time and watched. Usually he might stand up and, walk up and down the aisle, not the main aisle, but the row that we're sitting in, and come back. But this was the one he actually sat down and watched. I'm like, oh no, I hope I don't have to watch this repeat.
I was going to say, this is going to be a DVD for Christmas, and you are going to watch it on repeat.
Yeah. It's a big, massive thumbs up for Lego Batman movie. It's a big, massive 2 thumbs down for the Smurfs movie.
Brutal.
Right, and one movie that I watched at home just quickly, it's the new Arnold Schwarzenegger film called Aftermath. I'm surprised it didn't really get a theatrical release because the film wasn't that bad. I thought if it had a more... Just say it had Denis Villeneuve as director and possibly a better lead, this could have been a hell of a lot much better. But for what it was very entertaining. The last thing I ever expected to see was Arnold Schwarzenegger's ass in this film. There's a scene where he's in the shower. Fair enough, show his chest, but did we really need to see his 60-year-old ass? No.
Do you think is it a double?
No, it was him. It was definitely him.
God.
Because you see his ass and his face kind of at the same time.
I wonder if that was a stipulation. Like, he's talking to the director. He's like, so am I going to be nude in this film? And he's like, no. And I was like, no, I want to see my ass on screen.
We saw his ass in Terminator, the original one. He was still a young, fit man. We don't necessarily need to see the ass of an old 60-year-old.
So you don't got it, huh?
Especially in a film that deals with losing his wife and daughter in a plane crash. So, if that's a nice Sunday afternoon movie. If it's there, turn it on, give it a watch. But nothing that you're going to go rush to. As I said, in the hands of a more, a better director and possibly a stronger lead, it could have been a lot better. But it was just okay.
Okay.
Kind of like this show, really. If you got nothing to do on a Sunday afternoon, just put on this podcast. It'll kill 40 minutes of your time.
Kind of like my marriage.
Kind of like date night, your wife said on her podcast.
It's like, oh, do you want to hang out tonight, hon? I've got nothing better to do.
Yeah. Oh, you've got 35 minutes. And
yeah, exactly right. Then Heart of Dixie's on.
All right, well, that wraps up episode 11 of Not Another Movie Podcast. I am Shaun Pierce.
And I am Sean Kelly.
And hopefully you have a safe and enjoyable Easter with your family. And may your week be a good week until next week.